that protect us. We do have freedom of press. It's in the Constitution. But it's also the social norms that protect us. It works because we believe those words on that piece of paper. And every time you attack that, you're eroding it a little bit around the edges.
That was dangerous, he said. And Bezos knew his business empire would still have to deal with the United States government under President Trump. The Post held strong, and while it insisted on a nonpartisan approach, it wasn't against any single party. The nature of Trump's agenda, his attacks on the rule of law and democracy and facts, right, tested how top news outlets would face that extremism. And the Post didn't shirk. Bezos had the Post's back with that slogan we mentioned, democracy dies in darkness. He said there's an important role in making sure there is light against that. And Trump took his beef with the journalists. He escalated to the front office, as he does. He wanted to punish the owner, Bezos, for being involved with the Washington Post. And he also clearly wanted to send a threat, a message to other rich and powerful people through this process. We'll come back to that in a moment tonight. But very quickly it became clear Trump hates Amazon were the headlines, reporting on Trump's goal to abuse power to go after Amazon. That's according to 5 direct sources they had. Trump's obsessed with Amazon, a source said, obsessed. This wasn't just idle talk. Trump used his government power, took measures to go after the businesses tied to the press that reported on him. What we know is what has been revealed. There may be other efforts we don't, but there are headlines and fact-check reports about him trying to punish CNN by imposing the merger of its corporate parent. That ultimately passed, or denying billions that Amazon was maybe going to get from government contracts. That's according to one lawsuit about Trump's vendettas. In the last campaign, which we all lived through, Trump only got more explicit. Retribution for perceived foes. And so Bezos, even before Election Day, clearly saw all this, what I just showed you, fought what he would have called the good fight back in the first term, and made a shift. And there are new developments on this today. For Bezos, gone were the vows to defend the Post no matter what, or to affirm that mantra for democracy. Bezos actually jumped into the editorial side. This was in the campaign homestretch. You probably remember some of it, to change their practice and eliminate any presidential endorsement in 24. An unusual move which suggested Bezos was taking this new tack. Now, in fairness, I want to make sure you understand all sides of the story. He claimed that the endorsement shift had nothing to do with Trump. But the action yanked the planned Harris endorsement, which broke practice. And so to many, it looked like a signal to Trump that Bezos would be able to at least take some actions at the Post, maybe not hand editing every story, but some actions to appease Trump, to quiet some of the Washington Post activity which Trump opposed or viewed as critical. Now, I want to be very simple and clear here. The point is not that the endorsement itself would somehow shape that election. Very few people think national newspaper endorsements are the final thing that shifts undecided in swing states. And Trump has never gotten many of those endorsements. Meanwhile, he's still won the election twice, once outright and once through the Electoral College. The point was that Bezos was using the Post differently in a way that would appeal to Trump. And that while Bezos denied that goal, he would say that it wasn't the reason. His own reporters and editors saw it that way. And they're the ones with inside knowledge about how things work. And they were so concerned, some of them took the type of professional and economic risk that Bezos and these other billionaires are not taking, resigning their jobs over this journalistic incident. Bezos said that stopping that planned Harris endorsement had nothing to do with Trump and Harris, that it was an unusual late October shift, but it was designed to improve the Washington Post's credibility. He wrote that presidential endorsements create a perception of bias. And as for appealing to Trump, no quid pro quo of any kind is at work. Neither campaign nor candidate was consulted or informed. Okay. But there was no allegation of a formal quid pro quo, and I mean, this is not an impeachment probe. And newspaper owners can do what they want. There was also no allegation that Bezos was going to tell Trump in advance. Everyone was going to find out when this happened, including Trump, when you yanked the endorsement. The actual objection from those top Post journalists, some of them now former employees, was that Bezos was forbidding the paper from what it usually does for one reason, to warm up to Trump. in the context of all of the business pressure. Now, that controversy went on and on. Now there's new evidence on what Bezos' business empire is doing because they've made a new $1 million donation to Trump's inaugural committee. That's the kind of support and message that doesn't happen without Bezos. You can see the Wall Street Journal, which knows business very clearly, says Bezos' Amazon will donate this $1 million to Trump's inauguration. And the billionaire, in a recent interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin, went out of his way to double down on, and I'm showing you this all now because we know more now than when this happened in October, to double down on the very perception that he claimed he opposed in the clash over Bezos yanking the Harris endorsement. And it's a lot more money than Amazon gave in 2016, which was around $57,000. So many, many other orders of magnitude this time, which looks different. And now Bezos says he's optimistic about Trump and his leadership. And he also says in his warming up to Trump something that we don't hear much even from Trump's aides, and I've interviewed a lot of them over the years. Bezos says America is witnessing a changed new Trump, a calm and settled leader.
If we're talking about Trump, I think it's very interesting. I'm actually very optimistic this time around. You've probably grown in the last 8 years. He has too. He is calmer than he was the first time and more confident, more settled.
There you have that. Bezos is one very important businessman who chose to enter this fray with the Washington Post purchase. But the point tonight is not even to just fixate on him or the link to journalism, because this is much broader. Consider that Trump's many attacks on democracy and the FBI are often seen first in the context of law and politics, like his recent claims about sending political opponents or political critics to go to jail. But the same autocratic issues come up in business. And this is a trend we've seen in many countries where any leader can wield unchecked power. It affects business first and foremost because all around the world people need money and a lot of people want more money than they have. So now we're seeing some of the richest, most powerful business leaders rush to fold, including tech leaders who often pride themselves in their public remarks and their entire branded lives as being smart and independent and having visionary plans beyond the way things used to work or the old government routines, let alone giving in to brash efforts to intimidate them. But some of them are already folding, and if they are, what message does this send to everybody else who certainly doesn't have their money and lawyers and networks of support? You see the faces here, some of them famous. Mark Zuckerberg shifting gears to cozy up to Trump following the Elon Musk school. Others might be less known by their face. Google CEO Sundar Pichai was joining his own company employees' protests in the first Trump era. What a different time that was. You think about when people say, well, this isn't politics or this isn't partisan, there's right and wrong, or you have to stand up. And as the leader of a company, sometimes there are issues that come up where your own employees say, how can we even work here if you won't stand up? And it was in that context that the Google CEO stood up against one of Trump's first acts in government, the travel ban.
There are some values which are really near and dear to your heart. It's foundational and something which you should never compromise on. And the fight will continue. So that's
Google's leader going from what he said right there, quote, never compromise, that against the travel ban in year one of Trump, to now making the trip to Mar-a-Lago, even amidst planned mass deportations, which at a numerical level could affect far more immigrants and people who are in this country or trying to come and go into this country than the original travel ban on which he said he'd never compromise. Another leader, CEO Mark Benioff, opposed Trump in 2016. Now he says he sees great promise for Trump's America. Or take one of the newest tech heroes, the artificial intelligence pioneer Sam Altman, who is, by all accounts, a brilliant person. We've even had some of his employees on this program to explore the visionary field of AI. But I want to remind you something that he might not want you to know. Maybe you can find it in ChatGPT. In 2016, he said Trump was an unacceptable threat to America, unfit to be president. Now, he would have you believe the threat has become the solution. And Altman says that Trump is a great leader to take us into the age of AI. He knows money talks, and he went even beyond the company coffers and made a personal donation of $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund. The richest, most powerful business titans. On record, some of them warning about Trump's danger, even spending years in what they called the good fight. Some warning about his abuse of power to silent dissent and corrupt systems, ranging from a free press to a free market. And what we're seeing now is that they are bending. They are doing what author Tim Snyder warns against, obeying in advance. And so with everything else going on, we ask tonight, what does this portend for the Trump second term? And does reporting the truth about it even matter? And that answer is simple. Of course it does. It's precisely the power of truth, of facts, of reporting, especially when powerful forces are not held accountable by other dynamics, that makes this such a big story. It's why Jeff Bezos bought the Post. It's why Trump wants to control these forces, the press, and the people who might be subjected to learn some facts about him or his government, past, present, or future. It's why your knowledge of these facts matters, even in an environment where there's a heck of a lot of money swirling around between some people eating their own words, because they used to warn against the very efforts to stifle dissent and facts that they are now joining. The work doesn't let up, but neither does life. We'll be back together in 90 seconds.
I have dry eye, tired, itchy, burning. My symptoms got worse over time. My eye doctor explained the root was inflammation. So he prescribed Xiidra. Xiidra works differently. Xiidra targets inflammation. Over-the-counter drops don't do this. They only hit pause in my symptoms. But twice daily Xiidra gives me lasting relief.
Xiidra treats the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. Don't use if allergic to Xiidra and seek medical help if needed. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort, blurred vision, and unusual taste sensation. Don't touch container tip to your eye or any surface. Before using Xiidra, remove contact lenses and wait 15 minutes before reinserting.
Dry eye over and over, it's time for Xiidra.
Eggs make all our family moments better, especially when they're Eggland's Best. Taste so fresh and amazing. Deliciously superior nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
At Harbor Freight, we design and test our own tools and sell them directly to you. No middleman, just quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg's been over to see me, and I can tell you Elon is another, and Jeff Bezos is coming up next week, and I want to get ideas from them. Look, we want them to do well.
Donald Trump at the New York Stock Exchange touting his current relationships. We're joined by Alicia Johnson, a veteran of the Biden-Harris 2020 campaign, author of Flip the Tables, the Everyday Disruptor's Guide to Finding Courage and Making Change. Welcome. What do you see happening here?
Well, listen, when I think about how literally the top 1% in this country has literally 40% of the wealth in this country, and we continue, you've reported on this, we talk about how the wealth gap continues to widen in this country and how people feel powerless when it comes to getting ahead, not only financially, but even when it comes to their rights. This Billionaire Boys Club, and not Pharrell's brand that he had,
Respect.
This Billionaire Boys Club that is about to be here in Washington, D.C. is extremely scary. And it's frustrating to see that some of these tech CEOs who you just talked about, who seem to have had principle about them, who had values in the first Trump administration, those quickly went away, even before he was elected, right? You talked about the endorsement that didn't come out because Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. And so it is very frustrating. We see what this is going to look like in regards to governing, but I'm actually interested to see how the people are going to respond to this, even people who voted for Donald Trump, who are going to see, oh, wait a minute, you actually don't care about me. It's more about your billionaire friends and you being able to be popular again.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make, because no one's saying that you have to deride success. One of the pitches was that this would be aspirational, that the voters for Trump, or people who want to get ahead, would be joining this billionaire class. The early indications, and we'll follow the facts where they go, don't show much focus on them. And I want to show a little more Trump at the stock exchange, where you get the visual, right, of he's at the New York Stock Exchange, the center of American finance, touting all these relationships. And if you are not in the, not 1%, but the upper slice of the 1% of these billionaires, this may not benefit you. So here he was talking about how he picked his Treasury nominee.
Scott Bessent's done a fantastic job, and one of the things I liked about Scott is that he said long before I even know who he was that the market's only doing well. This is before the election. It's only doing well because they think Trump is going to win. So we made Scott the Treasury Secretary.
May or may not be true, but he sort of says, well, you know, I got good compliments. Boom, you get the job. When you look at tech, they seem to think that they would rather err on the side of eating their words and warming up to him quite early and quite publicly than be on the wrong side of what has been some very serious threats.
Well, on the wrong side of serious threats that threaten their government contracts, but not necessarily the wrong side of what the people need, right? As these tech companies continue to do better, that is because of price gouging. That is because some of these workers are not being paid their fair share. They're not being paid a livable wage. And so the reality is, I hope the American people start to see, as these corporations, these tech giants become more powerful, their livelihood is actually going to be worse off. And I'm so glad that in your opening package, you connected this to truth-telling, because there's this attack on journalism, traditional journalism, but we know people are getting a lot of information on social media and believing that. So where's the fact-checking going to go there? We saw what happened when Elon Musk bought Twitter, now X. We knew exactly what was going to happen. He was going to dismantle this ability for organizers to actually come together and have the fact-checking in real time on those social media posts. What's going to happen with misinformation and disinformation that's going to continue to allow the least of these in this country continue to vote for folks who want to consolidate power for their billionaire friends? Yeah, and that point just keeps coming up because as powerful as they are, whether it's Musk or Bezos, they're buying these other things precisely because they recognize the facts can matter. That's why they bought a newspaper. And social media matters because of the people behind it. If you don't have a user base, you don't have a good product. And so there is something underneath all that, even in these times of cynicism, that the people and outlets with facts still matter. That's why they actually want to control them. Alencia Johnson, always good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Later in the show, we have some prominent Trump opponents with new strategies on how to deal with these enemies list calls. New reports, meanwhile, that an aide to RFK Jr., Trump's health secretary, would actually want to roll back polio vaccines, the type of news that could complicate his confirmation hearings. Other Trump insiders are targeting rules that are actually designed to safeguard your bank deposits. Why would they want your savings and checking deposits to be in danger? We have that story coming up.
For more than a decade, Farxiga has been trusted again and again and again.
Farxiga.
Ask your doctor about Farxiga.
You make good choices. They've shaped your journey to leave all that your life built rock solid for generations. With ambition like that, you need someone who elevates advice to a craft. At UBS, we match your vision with insight and expertise to shape a unique outcome for you. Advice is our craft.
At Harbor Freight, we do business differently from the other guys. We design and test our own tools and sell them directly to you. No middleman. Just quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love.
Deck the turkey with gravy and fixings. Fa la 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 la.
Dad, we are at a restaurant.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yum, 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 yum. Please. Good thing I forgot my hearing aids.
How about this classic? We wish you a lot of yeast rolls. We wish you a lot of yeast rolls. Come on, everybody. We wish you a lot of yeast rolls and a holiday buffet. That's how we eat.
To me, Harlem is home. But home is also your body.
Last one, everyone.
I asked myself, why doesn't Pilates exist in Harlem? So I started my own studio. Getting a brick and mortar in New York is not easy. Chase Inc. has supported us from Studio 1 to Studio 3. When you start small, you need some big help, and Chase Inc. was that for me.
Earn up to 5% cash back on business essentials with the Chase Inc. Business Cash Card from Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours.
I've been warned by celebrities, athletes, and world leaders. But I've always felt most comfortable up here with the folks that made me who I am. I'm right at home, out here on the land. And I'm in my lane, on the shoulder of the interstate. Because this is where I come from. I've been showing up here for nearly 200 years, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Hats off to the future.
Nothing runs like a deer.
Over 600,000 USPS employees working in sync to ensure everything sent on its holiday ride ends with a moment of joy.
For more than a decade, Farxiga has been trusted again and again and again.
Farxiga.
Ask your doctor about Farxiga.
That moment you walk in the office and people are wearing the same gear, you feel a sense of connectedness and belonging right away. And our shirts from Custom Ink help bring us together.
We make it easy to wow all your groups with high-quality custom apparel and promo products, all backed by our guarantee at customink.com.
All right, so that's one pair of prescription glasses. Yep. Plus anti-reflective lens coating. Oh. Award-winning customer service.
That's me.
That's also me.
I see.
And free frame adjustments for life.
And that's included in the...
$95.
Oh.
Welcome to Warby Parker.
What happens in Vegas stays. Well, not anymore. Play Quick Hit Slots, the free-to-play mobile slots game that everyone is playing from coast to coast. Quick Hit Slots gives you all the fun and excitement of authentic Vegas slots. So if you love daily bonuses with endless spins and prizes, Quick Hit Slots and you are a winning combination. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
Even if there is a financial crash, Americans do know that anything in a bank account is still safe. Even if the whole bank goes under, the U.S. government insures your deposits for up to $250,000, as long as they are in a checking or savings account in one of the many big banks insured by the federal government, by the FDIC. And yet now Trump officials are asking potential nominees if they could abolish that very insurance program, according to the Wall Street Journal. The program, we should note, has never lost any funds. It is a complete and rare success since 1933. And it's also why people are actually right to feel pretty confident you can leave the money in the bank account, even if there's a lot of choppiness in the markets. FDR started it during the Great Depression to end the kind of bank runs you might remember from It's a Wonderful Life.
My husband hasn't worked in over a year, and I need money.
How am I going to live until the bank opens?
I got doctor bills to pay. I need cash.
I can't keep my kids on faith. I've got to have it.
How much do you need?
Hey! I got $2,000. Here's $2,000. This will tide us over to the bank reopens.
We're joined now by Gene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize winner for the Washington Post. Seasoned, distinguished, but you weren't there in 33. You weren't there then.
No, no. I'm old, all right, but I'm not that old. Come on.
and neither am I, and it seems to be a rare good thing that they came up with this solution. I showed the facts. What does it tell you that these kind of things are on the table?
Well, look, this is one of the worst, stupidest, most irresponsible ideas I have ever heard. And I've heard of a lot.
Yeah, you
really
report in
bad
Washington,
ideas.
yeah.
FDIC is something that, as you said, has worked. It has worked perfectly since 1933. It guarantees that we don't have those kinds of bank runs. And just talking about getting rid of FDIC, and presumably they would say, oh, we're replacing it with this or we're replacing it with that. People know those four letters. They know FDIC. They see it.
Yeah, you check on your checking.
Right, and they see it when they walk into the bank. It's there on the door, FDIC insured. And so if you get rid of that, you're going to start having bank runs. Anytime a bank gets even a little over its skis, has any little sort of problem, there's going to be a run on the bank. And of course, no bank can withstand a run. So we're going to have bank failures. And we don't have them now. And it's largely because of FDIC.
Do you think there is something happening where there are people who are very upset with the way things are, and they say they want to overthrow and disrupt? And in some spaces, that might make a lot of sense. You want to disrupt the way Wall Street has too much power in Washington. You want to disrupt the way healthcare industry works, which is something Barack Obama actually tried to do over time.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something happening, at least around this Trump transition, where you have people who have limited to no experience in government?
Yeah.
And they have this idea of, well, disrupt is cool no matter what.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, let's disrupt the thing that actually protects regular people, red, blue, and in between.
Let's disrupt everything. And that's not a good idea. Let's disrupt what needs disrupting, but let's not. And, you know, there's another factor, of course, because Trump is planning to staff his administration with billionaires and 100 millionaires. And for them, you know, $250,000 worth of insurance is kind of trivial, right? I mean, that doesn't really affect them. They have to watch out for their huge investments in other ways. Their billions are not insured by the federal government. But for everybody else, for normal Americans, this is really important. And I think some of them just don't get that. They don't.
Right, it's not even on the table.
It's not important to
It's not in their mindset that if you're a retiree and you've saved all your life and you've moved some money, say, out of stocks, and you got $8,000 in there, that's what you're literally living on. And there could be a financial crash.
Exactly.
And month to month, that's what you were living on, literally.
Exactly. That's what you were living on. And so, look, it's one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. Another of the worst ideas I've ever heard is, you know, one of RFK's advisors wants to, you know, get rid of the polio vaccine.
Yeah, we have.
Doesn't like the polio vaccine.
We have this. This was a lawyer for RFK who's helping vet potential officials and had previously petitioned, I think we have this, right, to the yes? Over here? Camera 2 is what I'm looking for. The vaccine was a medical marvel. It protected millions from death, from iron lung treatment. Gene just mentioned it. We just wanted to show some of these facts in recent decades. Global polio cases have dropped over 99%. Right. So that's just a mini quick fact check on that.
Exactly.
And as you're mentioning on the bad idea carnival, this is now kicking around RFK. Do you think that senators have to really vet that when they look at him as a nominee?
I think they must. I mean, look, this is a stupid, irresponsible, deadly idea. People don't remember polio, when polio was endemic and when kids got polio. I mean, I have a neighbor, he's older than I am. I had a neighbor when I was growing up who had polio.
Yeah.
My kids
and Gene, apologies
never met anybody who had polio.
Apologies for this segment bringing up your age over and over. I don't know how that happened.
It's quite all right. You know, it is what it is. You know, so I'm just slightly removed from the time.
But you take it seriously.
When there was polio, and that's something that kids got and something that parents worried about. And it is not anymore because of the vaccine, people. And so if you get rid of the vaccine, you're going to have polio again.
Yeah.
Because 99% is not 100%. And so that disease will come back.
Yeah, and there's confirmation hearings for a reason. Obviously, part of this is just politics, and everyone's watching, which Republican senators can, quote, stand up to Trump. Another part of it is who can stand up to oversight over the next several rounds of elections in the Senate if they're the one who went through the hearings, were warned about this, and are still co-signing that at HHS. Exactly. So it's a lot. Happy holidays, Gene. Always good to see you. Nice to see you in person. We'll be right back.
What are folks 60 and older learning these days?
New perspectives. How to fix things. Fun recipes.
Messes happen every day in every way, but who wants to drag out that bulky vacuum? Hey folks, Joe Fowler here with my favorite cleaning partner, the Duck. A super compact vac with ultra powerful suction. This is a small but mighty duck, making it quick and easy to clean up any mess. Just duck it up. The compact design can reach the tightest places. It's smaller than a water bottle. Oh, but look at this. It even fits inside my pocket. So store it in any drawer where it's always at your fingertips. Plus, it dumps out with ease, so it's ready to clean again.
I used to have to drag out this huge thing they call a portable vacuum cleaner. Now I keep the Duck in my kitchen drawer and I clean up messes in 2 seconds.
The turbocharged motor is engineered to create a powerful vortex of suction, while the HEPA filter helps remove dust and allergens. Let's prove the power of the Duck. I attach it to the hose. It's gonna pull water right up through the tube. Clean up that mess in the kitchen, the spill on the sofa, even the sawdust and screws in the workshop. Plus, it's rechargeable. Got messy pets? Duck powerfully picks up pet hair from anywhere. You can even store it in your glove box for the ultimate car vac. Clean seats, the floor, and deep into those hard-to-reach places. I promise the Duck will change the way you clean.
Get the Horsepower Duck hand vac for just $39.99. Order right now and we'll upgrade you to the Duck Pro package. A $30 value, yours free. You get the bendable tube to get under appliances, the crevice nozzle to reach into those cracks and crevices, and the brush nozzle to vacuum with no scratches. You'll get the Duck with all the deluxe attachments, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low, low price. So don't delay. Duck it up today.
Call 1-800-910-3841 or visit duckvac.com. So call 1-800-910-3841 or visit duckvac.com. Order now.
Wherever I go, they always ask, "Where's Waldo?"
You found me.
Never, "Who's Waldo?" Sometimes it takes someone who really knows you to make you feel seen.
Gifts that say I get you. Etsy has it.
After last month's massive solar flare added a 25th hour to the day, businesses are wondering, what should we do?
I'm thinking company-wide power nap.
Anything can change the world of work. From HR to payroll, ADP designs for the next anything.
Hey, grab more delectables. You know, that lickable cat treat.
Delickable delectables.
Yes. Just hurry.
Must be delicious.
Delectables, lickable treat. Deliciously delectable delectables.
Pause for the facts. Classic first-timers. They don't know that nearly half of all used cars have been in an accident. But Carfax shows how accidents impact price, so they don't have to overpay. Unpause.
Ooh, I want no accidents.
Shop the all-new Carfax.com.
Ready to party? I'm talking about Jackpot Party, the leading free-to-play mobile slots game that always gives you more. More Vegas action, more casino favorites, and the latest slots. Play Jackpot Party and win amazing surprises just for logging in. Download Jackpot Party for free and get a 45 million coin bonus. Jackpot Party, a party in every spin.
Grandpa and I used to work on this together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Doesn't count. What you need is a will, something you can sign and make official. Start your will at trustandwill.com and make it count.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to On Deck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and, if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
You probably heard a lot about President-elect Trump's threats of retribution, and there's still an ongoing question about what to do about them. The Biden administration is now mulling a way to kind of Trump-proof the DOJ with preemptive pardons, at least to the potential targets. This move would, to be clear, be unprecedented in all of American history. Trump-proofing the FBI and DOJ against certain enemy targets has a lot of questions, pros and cons. We do know, though, that Trump's current planned pick for the FBI director already has an enemies list of his own and raised concerns about where this all heads. And there are lawmakers that Donald Trump has literally named that he said, even after the election, should be in jail. So we are in unusual times. You hear the word unprecedented used. It could be negative or positive, or you could do something unprecedented to counter these unprecedented efforts sometimes to abuse federal powers. Now, potential recipients of the concept, the possibility of these preemptive pardons, seem currently split on even taking them.
If he offers it to me or other members of the committee, I think I would accept it, but it's his choice.
I don't think pardons are necessary. Those of us on the committee are very proud of what we did. We feel it was an important public service.
Partly, it's just a question of how you define what the pardon is. Traditionally, pardons are for criminals. But if you say all traditions are being broken, and this is a way to kind of create a new immunity, then some legal scholars think perhaps there are attributes to this. Remember, we're talking about a post-election president-elect talking like this.
Honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think?
I think everybody anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
No, not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
They should go to jail, but it's up to others, is sort of the current line. A DOJ vet on this list, we should note, one of them says they don't want a pardon. We should be willing to show that we trust the fairness of the justice system that so many of us have defended. And others caution that this whole idea is not only unnecessary, but, to that point I mentioned earlier, it sends out a formal message from the outgoing administration which implies guilt. That's how the Washington Post editorial board put it. There are no easy answers when you are in this kind of new legal framework. But there is still one president at a time in this country, and it certainly merits consideration, as we're seeing the reports, that the legal experts and lawyers inside this administration are still considering what options they have. Now, up next, the co-creator of Rick and Morty on politics, presidential impressions, and how we use art to understand the meaning of life itself.
COPD is an ugly reality.
Do you have his medical history?
I watch as this world just keeps getting smaller. But then, Trelegy helped us see things a little differently. With 3 medicines and 1 inhaler, Trelegy keeps airways open for a full 24 hours and prevents future flare-ups. Once daily Trelegy also improves lung function, so he can breathe more freely all day and night.
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy for COPD, because breathing should be beautiful all day and night.
If you're living with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis or active psoriatic arthritis, symptoms can sometimes hold you back. But now there's Skyrizi, so you can be all in with clear skin.
Things are getting clearer, yeah, I feel free. To dim my skin, yeah, that's on me. Nothing is everything.
With Skyrizi, you can show up with 90% clear skin. And if you have psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi can help you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Now's the time. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Love your plugins but wish you had more scent control? Introducing the new Febreze Plug Scent Booster. Enjoy the same 50 days of continuous scent as Febreze Plug, including a cord for flexible placement options and a boost button for extra scent. New Febreze Plug Scent Booster.
I have dry eye. Tired, itchy, burning. My symptoms got worse over time. My eye doctor explained the root was inflammation. So he prescribed Xiidra. Xiidra works differently. Xiidra targets inflammation. Over-the-counter drops don't do this. They only hit pause in my symptoms. But twice daily Xiidra gives me lasting relief.
Xiidra treats the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. Don't use if allergic to Xiidra and seek medical help if needed. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort, blurred vision, and unusual taste sensation. Don't touch container tip to your eye or any surface. Before using Xiidra, remove contact lenses and wait 15 minutes before reinserting.
Dry eye over and over? It's time for Xiidra.
I could lock up every door, check again just so I'm sure. Watch Ziggy from the plane. My garage I could open while I'm hiking in Wyoming if my home just had a brain.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsored jobs on Indeed are 2.5 times faster to first hire. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
The best moments deserve the best eggs, especially when they're Eggland's Best. It tastes so deliciously fresh, with better nutrition too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
Patients who have sensitive teeth but also want whiter teeth, they have to make a choice, one versus the other. New Sensodyne Clinical White that provides 2 shades whiter teeth as well as providing 24/7 sensitivity protection. Patients are going to love to see Sensodyne on the shelf.
60% of women experience leaks with bladder protection pads. Try Always Discreet. It has a unique core that converts liquid to gel and bunches 25% less often than Poise. Try Always Discreet. It's designed to protect.
President Biden's recent meeting with President-elect Trump was their first encounter since the presidential debate. Biden honoring a tradition that Trump defied after he lost to Biden in 2020, a tradition that Obama did extend to Trump in 2016. Look at all the way back then. Few people see much in common between those two, but our next guest explores and mocks power with an absurdist cartoon president who seems to draw on both Obama and Trump. That's from the hit show Rick and Morty. Now, in its 8th season, it is a remarkably bold, transgressive, and sometimes downright odd cartoon using sci-fi themes of space travel, multiple universes, and intergalactic ethics to explore the meaning of life and the failure of systems like government, capitalism, and religion. There is joking and mocking while also challenging us to critically question these forces and consider what makes a life worth living. It's a product of the unique mind of writer and co-creator Dan Harmon, joining us for his first TV interview since the election. So you talk about Rick's powers and abilities, and then you use this clashes with the president as one of the only types of people who possibly, or in their own mind, is on par with Rick, right? Mm-hmm. There's like a rivalry there that he wouldn't have with, I guess, most normal humans in his planet, right? We have a look at this recurring president character. Let's take a look.
Time to get swifty. Get swifty? What the hell is that?
It's our world's best effort, that's what.
I was kind of hoping that I could get a selfie with you.
Actually, if you try to tell anyone what happened here, we'll deny it. Welcome home, dinosaurs. Oh, I could use a vacation. Should we nuke them?
I'm on vacation, Curtis.
Well, you leaned into this fast.
Submit! Submit for the selfie! I yield! I yield!
I am selling New York to France and giving all of the money to Congress.
Yeah! All right, yeah!
Now that's how you do it? He became president today.
First of all, that's something that in politics we always make fun of when people say this made him president. Yeah. What points are you sharing or enjoying getting off your chest? There's some political observations here through this storyline.
I don't know. I hate to be a contrarian and a frustrating interview subject. I have a lot of political bones to pick, but that wouldn't make for good entertainment if I then used, like, I'm not trying to point anything out about politics that everybody hasn't always pointed out. For instance, in those clips, it's just sort of like we all have a general mistrust of authority, and people who pay themselves to tell us what to do are, you know, they're a bunch of clowns, and they.
Well, I'll try one. You can be as difficult an interviewer subject as you want, but the repeating politics storyline in Rick and Morty calls bull on the idea that politics is public service. With, I guess, maybe rare exceptions, most of these people are doing it for their own power and their own stuff, and that is that's a skepticism, right, that's not shared by people who think of this as a higher calling.
Yeah, there's a conversation between Rick and the president. I can't even remember the episode, but it was really satisfying to write, where the two of them, I think it's in the Turkey episode maybe, but it's really just sort of like, it's a piping of their perspectives. I mean, one guy is the head of a country called America, and Rick is just way above that. I mean, he doesn't even have loyalty to Earth, let alone the nation that claims Earth as its property.
In the universe of Rick and Morty, there is a repeat skepticism
of organization in general. Yes. Our Rick, for instance, is the quote-unquote only Rick that isn't part of the citadel of Ricks, where it's that in an infinite universe there's infinite Ricks, and most of those Ricks like the smell of their own farts, so to speak, and like have a boys club where they sit on a citadel and they all dumped their wives and abandoned their children, and Rick's too cool for that. Our Rick's origin story, in spite of him being the most cynical, the rogue Rick, it starts with that he is the most heartbroken, he was the most empathic, the most connected to his marriage.
Right, that he is more deeply human, and that his wound was so bad that it's scabbed over harder than anyone. You mentioned the Citadel of Ricks. Let's take a look at that.
The division I see is between the Ricks and Mortys that like the Citadel divided and the rest of us. I see it everywhere I go. I see it in our schools, where they teach Mortys we're all the same because they're threatened by what makes us unique. I see it in our streets, where they give guns to Mortys, so we're too busy fighting each other to fight real injustice.
Earnest or also satire?
A spoiler of that is that character that's talking, who's the kind of, let's call him an Obama-esque figure, or a Kennedy, or Robert Redford in The Candidate,
is an evil manipulator.
He's evil Morty. He is.
So we can't. So the most honeyed, sweet, idealistic pitch we ever get is still underneath it. There's something cynical and rotten. This is why I say the show has a political bent.
It's got a nihilistic bent, and I am not a nihilist, but it has a nihilistic bent. But nihilism, I think that it shouldn't punish empathy. That's what I always say in the writer's room. We have to stop short of punishing empathy.
That's one approach to a worldview. Then there's the show's approach towards ethics and the meaning of life. I want to turn you to one of your most significant episodes of Rick and Morty. That's a Morte.
Okay.
Are you able to describe the plot of that in a sentence or two, or is that impossible?
Morty is told by Rick that there is a planet where if people self-kill, when they do that, a complex cortisol reaction in their blood makes their insides into delicious spaghetti. Morty discovering that leads to just sort of an exploration of themes of right to die in the meat industry and things like that, without soapboxing about it, just exploring those themes in a strange way.
So these beings that look like people, that maybe have soul or ethical value, when they die that way, they become delicious spaghetti.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at this moment where this is sort of revealed.
So we were eating people.
I'm afraid so.
They were so spaghetti-esque.
Yes, they were.
It's going to be hard to
put out of your mind, yes. Which is why I thought it best to keep you all in the dark.
So Morty ruined spaghetti night.
Correct. Summer! It was people!
So starting right there, it's bad to eat these people, but they're mad at Morty for telling the truth about it?
Yeah. Morty he told them how the sausage is made.
In this story, it's bad that it's people, but is the story trying to make us think that animals are like people too?
In the story, the characters don't like the idea of eating people. Therefore, when they didn't know they were eating people, they were happy. Now they're sad.
But they also really like eating good spaghetti. Right. So there's this tension.
It's delicious, and now it's not going to be delicious for them because they know it's people, so they wish that they were still ignorant of it. It would be like if McDonald's just started putting like dead cows hanging upside down on the bag, like that you got at the drive-thru. You'd be like, why you got to do that, man? And if they'd be like, well, it's what it is, and he'd be like, well, yeah, but don't. I like thinking that they grow on trees shaped like little saucers.
Right, and so what's striking is if someone only watched this episode first, they didn't know your universe, they would start potentially being somewhat outraged or thinking this was in poor taste, no pun intended. But then over the life cycle of this story, it becomes this deep, soulful
Why are you looking at me like that? Why are you giving me that Ari Melber, are you proud of yourself look? Like a kind of half accusatory, when's the self-loathing gonna stop?
I think your therapist would say, why are you...
Yeah, I have one.
Distancing.
So I'd like to come here. It's called the beat, not the shrink.
What is a life is what I think when I finish that piece. What is a life?
The beauty of creative things is that they answer unanswerable questions like that in the language that it needs to be answered in, which is just a series of images and moments. I mean,
well, I'll push you further because it's part of my job. Part of the answer there is that life is about the people you share it with. There aren't that many. It's a beautiful piece, and there aren't that many people in it, right? It's a few people that you share it with that you remember that matters.
Yeah, and every person you share it with doubles your the odds of misfortune because
as good as it is the tragedy of loss.
Yeah, well, it's also, though, that if I become best friends with you and you get sick, it's a bad thing for me. But if I keep you at arm's length and you get sick, I'm safe.
A lot of deep thoughts there coming out of a cartoon. Our Dan Harmon interview, which you just saw there, aired for the first time tonight. But there's even more from that sit-down in the full extended version. You can see it on YouTube at msnbc.com/Ari. The Readout with Joy Reid is up next.
Okay, y'all, we got 10 orders coming in.
Starting a business is never easy, but starting at 8 months pregnant, that's a different story. I couldn't slow down.
We were starting a business from the ground up.
People were showing up left and right, and so did our business needs. The Chase Ink card made it easy. When you go for something big like this, your kids see that, and they believe they can do the same.
Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase with the Chase Ink Business Unlimited card from Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours.
Well, would you look at that?
Jerry, you gotta see this.
Saying it. Trust me, after 15 walks, gets a little old. Yeah, I really
is our craft.
I've been warned by celebrities, athletes, and world leaders. But I've always felt most comfortable up here with the folks that made me who I am. I'm right at home, out here on the land. And I'm in my lane on the shoulder of the interstate. Because this is where I come from. I've been showing up here for nearly 200 years, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Hats off to the future.
Nothing runs like a deer.
Deck the turkey with gravy and fixings. Fa la 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 la.
Dad, we are at a restaurant.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yum, 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 yum. Please. Good thing I forgot my hearing aids.
How about this classic? We wish you a lot of yeast rolls. We wish you a lot of yeast rolls. Come on, everybody. We wish you a lot of yeast rolls and a holiday buffet. That's how we eat.
Mondays, Inside with Jen Psaki at 8, The Rachel Maddow Show at 9, and The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell at 10 on MSNBC. Stay up to date on the biggest issues of the day with the MSNBC Daily newsletter. Each morning, you'll get analysis by experts you trust, video highlights from your favorite shows, previews of our podcasts and documentaries, plus written perspectives from the newsmakers themselves. Sign up for MSNBC Daily at msnbc.com.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today.
Oh, that's great. What position did you play?
First base.
That's what Grandpa used to play.
When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Caption service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
Give your loved ones the independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you.
Call 1-800-403-7539. That's 1-800-403-7539.
Tonight on The Readout.
My new Trump fragrances are here. They make a great Christmas present. Get yourself a bottle and don't forget to grab one for your loved ones too. They'll thank you and they'll even smell good.
Ah, yes, the pungent scent of grift. Donald Trump and many of his closest MAGA colleagues are shamelessly cashing in on the election. It's a preview of his presidency where there'll be no lines drawn between the Trump administration and the Trump money-making machine. Also tonight, RFK Jr. could soon be the nation's top health official, and Trump is giving him the green light to get the old gang back together. You know, polio, measles, meningitis, those guys. But we begin tonight with one of the Trumps. No, not him, but rather his daughter. And no, not that daughter, the other one. Tiffany Trump, the daughter who isn't Ivanka, but rather the daughter of the model that Trump cheated on Ivanka's mom, Ivana, with, then married before dumping that wife for Melania. The daughter Trump seemingly snubbed at the RNC when she went in for a kiss in a moment that went viral. Well, Tiffany may not be daddy's favorite, but she seems to be doing well for herself. She married Michael Boulos, the son of a Lebanese purported billionaire, in 2018. Which I'm sure pleased dear old dad, who really, really likes billionaires. Here's Tiffany with Michael and Donald the day before her Mar-a-Lago wedding in 2022. But now we're learning that there is more, and in some ways less, to the story. The New York Times reports that Tiffany Trump's father-in-law, Masad Boulos, isn't a billionaire after all. He just allowed people to say he was a billionaire when he knew that he really wasn't. Masad Boulos also happens to be Trump's incoming Middle East advisor and led Trump's campaign outreach to Arab Americans, especially in